fluid end takes all the abuse on a frac site. It takes all the kind of abrasives, it takes all the pressure, and it does what I like to think anyway, it does all the heavy lifting and the hard work on a frac site.
Hello and welcome to the Pumps and Systems podcast. I am your host, Tom Baer, a managing editor at Pumps and Systems magazine. Today we're speaking with Connor Docherty, strategy manager at SPM Oil Gas. He's going to be telling us all about fluid ends in frac pumps and how companies can mitigate issues for a smoother and more cost-effective pumping experience. So without any further ado, let's get into the episode. Okay, so welcome to the Pumps and Systems podcast. We really appreciate having you here. So how are you doing today?
Yeah, doing great, Tom. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about fluid ends in frac pumps. But before we do that, would you mind introducing yourself? So tell us a little about who you are, what you do, anything you'd like our listeners and viewers to know.
Yeah, no problem. So my name's Connor Docherty. I'm a product manager at SPM, headquartered in Fort Worth. And my responsibility is over fluid ends and our fluid end consumable products. So kind of day to day, I like to sort of summarize what I do is that I make sure that the products today are successful and answering the needs of our customers. And then our engineering team and our organization are working on all the projects and product development that make sure that we're continuing to support our customers long into the future.
So getting into our main topic. So first of all, for anyone in our audience who isn't familiar with them, could you give us just a quick explanation of what frac pumps are and what they're used for?
Yeah, no problem. So a frac pump essentially is on a frac site, and the job for a frac pump is to take the mechanical energy from an engine and a drivetrain and then use that to take low pressure frac fluid, which is usually a mix of water, sand, and some other components, and take that from low pressure to high pressure and pump it downhole to complete the hydraulic fracturing. Hydraulic fracturing being using kind of pressure to create small fissures in the ground, and then the sand is there to make sure that we prop that open so we can extract the oil and gas depending on where we're pumping. But really, it's a frac pump's job to make sure that we take that low pressure to high and we make sure that we move that fluid from the tank that sits on site and above the surface and get it downhole.
Okay, so then what are fluid ends and why are they important when it comes to frac pumps?
So the fluid end's kind of the part of a frac pump that takes all the abuse. So we basically break a pump down into what we call a fluid end and a power end. Now the power end takes the mechanical energy from the engine or the turbine, uses that and turns sort of centrifugal motion into reciprocating motion. And it's within the fluid end that we basically take in the low pressure fluid with that motion coming in off the power end through our plungers, and we basically compress and pressurize that fluid and pump it out. So the fluid end is what sees, some people call it a wet end, we call it a fluid end, but it's the part that sees the fluid. Now, a fluid end takes all the abuse on a frac site. It takes all the kind of abrasives. It takes all the pressure, and it does what I like to think anyway. It does all the heavy lifting and the hard work on a frac site. So it kind of really does the job of managing and handling and supporting the fluid going from low to high pressure.
So then, what are some of the biggest issues that companies can encounter when it comes to fluid ends?
Yeah, so I like to kind of break this down into sort of three distinct areas. So, I like to kind of think about challenges and then kind of developments and opportunities in performance and reliability and then in serviceability. And then within each of those kind of three buckets, they're either product driven or they're operator and product driven or they're product and operator driven. I like to flip those because of kind of what is the main contributor. Now, if I think kind of some of the challenges from a performance side of things, we usually like to think about that as kind of longevity or life. People in our industry look at that either in hours or strokes or barrels pumped. Now, kind of two of the big kind of main challenges we have on a performance side, performance being what is dictating the end of life, is kind of what is cracking and then what we call wash. Now, cracking can happen in our threads, it can happen in our crossbow. And once a fluid end's cracked, it's done. The other side of that is a wash. Now, as I said, the job of a fluid end is to take low pressure in and put high pressure out. And to make sure that's achieved, you need to seal a fluid end. So while we've got all the design, we've got kind of critical seals and components there that make sure we're holding all that fluid in and efficiently pressurizing it. Now, if you have any kind of deterioration of sealing surfaces or seals, you get what's called a wash. Now, a wash is where you get sort of a small kind of break in that seal, which calls almost like a kind of hydrojet, and it will quite quickly and quite effectively cut through even the hardest of steel. So they're sort of two of the main challenges. And that's all product driven, right? Can do you have the stress management, the design, the sealing solutions and materials to kind of ensure that that's pushed later on into the fluid end life? Then we have reliability. I like to kind of talk about reliability as product and then operator driven. Product driven because the things that we design into the product, the way we manufacture, the way we control, all contributes to the reliability. But then also how our customers engage and handle and manage our fluid end can really dictate the sort of reliability as well. If they're doing kind of heavy damage, if they're not cleaning, all of these sorts of things can have a big impact on reliability. Which then touches on the last one, which is serviceability. I like to put that operator first and then product second, because if our customers are kind of following through on the correct maintenance practices, cleaning, inspecting, doing it diligently and kind of periodically and predictably, then kind of it will really push the serviceability. And then on our side, we've got a responsibility to make sure that the product's as easy to work on as possible. And then we support and supply all the correct tooling and training so that they're able to do that to the best of their ability. So kind of three key groups, a lot of detail below them that kind of really summarize some of the challenges that you can experience with a fluid end.
So then let's talk a little about how we can mitigate some of those issues or how to counteract them or fix them.
Yeah, so kind of the big thing that someone operating a frac pump and a fluid end needs to consider is partnering and kind of going with the correct fluid end manufacturer. So making sure that you're the right person, the right company with the right product and the right support, that they can kind of help you kind of improve and mitigate those challenges that I discussed, especially in those three key areas. So you're looking for a partner that can provide a technology solution that helps you to mitigate some of those key failure modes. So with the crack or the wash, there's lots of great technology solutions that people can provide there to make sure that you're pushing those further out or eradicating them completely to ensure the longevity of your fluid end. Then the other part's the reliability, how are they designing the materials they're using, the manufacturing controls and quality control that they're providing. And also a kind of a partner that not only provides you a product, but also provides you some kind of support and kind of service beyond that. So training on how to best maintain your equipment, being there to kind of support root cause analysis or kind of help you understand where maybe some of these issues are becoming more frequent or less frequent, how you best kind of react and push those. So it all boils down to making sure that you're picking the right product and the right partner to kind of best support the success of your operations.
So next, let's talk about some specific examples. So are there any stories you can share from the field that show how companies have been able to make their fluid ends last longer?
Definitely. So kind of one great example springs to mind. So one, an operator up in the Northeast. In the Northeast, the kind of pumping conditions there are kind of very, very challenging. The pressure's high, the water's quite demanding, and the kind of the sand volume required are all very, very high, which makes kind of a job even more challenging. But then alongside that, one of the big kind of trends that we see in the industry is obviously people trying to do more with less. And a big example of this, where it starts to manifest itself in the equipment and the structure for our kind of customers and how they operate, is they look to try and put multiple frac pumps on the one trailer. And then they also look to try and pump two wells at the one time. So really looking to minimize the downtime they have between stages and moving across wells. we kind of hear that called simulfrac, or we've kind of simulfrac being two at the once, and now we've seen people even starting to explore, trifrac or quadfrac, looking to really kind of extend the benefits of this idea of a more continuous pumping operation, not just between two wells, but even more. Which, as you can imagine, as people are looking to kind of push more fluid, do more work with less and less breaks, all these things we've talked about, making sure that you partner with the right people, with the right technology, the right reliability, and quite critically, the right service, technology and support can really have a huge impact on the success of that operation. Obviously, people want to make, customers want to make sure that they're doing the job safely, efficiently, and then profitably. So an example here was, this operator in the Northeast really kind of made some great decisions on the fluid end technology and partner that they partnered with, and also the power end that they put behind that as well. Because while the fluid end sees you get the most frequent maintenance, it sees all the abrasives, it sees all the pressure. If there's an issue in that fluid end, it can quite quickly have ramifications for the power end. So the right fluid end technology paired with the right power end, meaning the right pump solution, is really, really important. And we actually saw this customer take average fluid end life by picking the right technology that addressed these three issues, from a kind of 1,600 hour average all the way up to 2,500 hour average, which, almost 2x worth of longevity and improvement, not just on one or two units, but reliably, had a significant impact, not just on the kind of efficiency and safety of their jobs. Obviously, every time you're doing manual work, there's a safety element there, but also the economics of their operation, right? Making sure that they're pushing the longevity, the amount of maintenance time they had going from an hour to as low as 15 minutes, and the technology and tooling to support that, training to support that, really means that the bottom line is looking a lot healthier for that operator by making the correct choice for the technology and the partner that they pick.
So we still have some time left. So is there any other example you'd like to share with us, or any other topic you want to talk about regarding this?
I think kind of just to sort of summarize it, and then also kind of almost broaden the scope of thinking here. I know sometimes fluid ends kind of get thought of maybe as more of a consumable component, a bit less prioritized, or maybe some of the bigger capital equipment, or some of the equipment that sees more maintenance. But it really is such a critical part, and also a big dollar driver and efficiency driver for kind of pressure pumpers, service companies, frac pump operators. That I guess my message as part of today is that there's lots of key decisions to be made. There's lots of great technology there, to kind of improve your operations, but really, fluid ends are critical to your success, and kind of making the right choice for the fluid end and the partner kind of can have a big benefit to your operations. And then kind of the last one there is that we talked about kind of marrying the fluid end with the power end, and the pump solution being kind of so important for the economics of kind of any pressure pumper or service company. But also the components that go into a fluid end are quite equally as important. While the fluid end holds that pressure, the consumable components, the valves, the seats, the plungers, the packing, and the seals, and we talked a wee bit about kind of some of the wash failure modes being contributed to kind of the reliability and performance of those sealing components, can have an equal or very substantial impact on the success of a fluid end, and thus the success of kind of the work that people do. So while you're choosing kind of the partner for your fluid end and your power end, pairing high performance, reliable, long life consumables with a dollar per hour value and benefit with the right fluid end technology will really kind of help those operating this equipment, managing these frac jobs, really kind of take it to the next level, and kind of reap all the benefit of the work that people do to develop the technology with those operators in mind. And the full package there will really make a difference to people running and operating that equipment. Yeah.
All right. Well, then thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Tom.
Huge thanks to Connor for taking the time to speak with us today about fluid ends in frac pumps. If you're listening to the podcast and would like the chance to watch it, check out our YouTube page to see the full video version. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and we will see you next time.